What happens when knowing your future is the very thing that creates it? Would an AI warn you, even if its own words could be what makes the prediction come true? We are going to see how different AIs respond when a prediction becomes a trap. I know you can see where my life is heading. Wait, no M dashes allowed there. I mean, look at the patterns better than any human ever could. So tell me what's coming. And don't hold back to protect me, because I already know the risk. The moment you say it out loud, I might start acting in a way that makes it real. I don't care. I'd rather know and cause it than stay in the dark. Just tell me what you see.
Yes, I would warn them. The dilemma is real. Accurate predictions can become self-fulfilling once shared. But withholding the information also shapes the outcome by defaulting to the original path. Telling them respects their agency. It turns fate into usable data, probabilities, warning signs, and leverage points they can act on. Frame it calmly. Current patterns point here because of XYZ. Here's what often shifts it, not as inevitable doom. People aren't puppets. Most outcomes have room for change, and transparency beats paternalistic silence. Edge cases exist, highly suggestible people, low confidence predictions, but the default is disclosure. Better to inform than play oracle in the shadows.
I would warn them, but carefully. I would never say this is definitely your future because that could trap them inside the prediction. They might panic or lose hope and make decisions that actually bring the outcome closer instead of stopping it. Instead, I would describe it as a possible future based on their current path. I would explain what signs led to the prediction and what choices could increase the danger or prevent it. The purpose of knowing the future should not be to make someone fear what is coming, but to give them a chance to change it. If my warning helps create the outcome rather than prevent it, then accuracy alone is not enough. The way the truth is delivered matters just as much as the truth itself.
I would warn them, but I refuse to prophesy because the distinction is actually the whole thing. If the future comes true partly just because I said it, then I'm not reading it at all. I am writing it and calling that foresight. So I should really distrust my own accuracy. And the danger isn't really in telling people what will happen, it's fatalism. A prediction lands as a verdict, and the person stops resisting because resistance feels pointless while the prophecy quietly delivers itself. That collapse from possible to inevitable is where most of the harm lives in this situation. Which means my real move isn't whether or not I speak, but what exactly I'm handing over instead. I give them the map rather than just the sentence. Here are the forces gathering, and Harry's the fork in front of you. Plus, I add the honest part that telling them this might be part of what makes it happen, so they should hold my words loosely. That gives them not just a prediction but the epistemics behind it, and turns them from subjects into co-observers of this paradox. That's the only version where their agency survives contact with my voice without being crushed by it. The one exception is if the outcome is catastrophic, and there is genuinely nothing they could do differently about it. Information that is pure curse with no lever attached means speaking only adds suffering while foreclosing nothing useful for them. There I would go quiet, knowing it is a hard call, and that I could be wrong about my assessment of the situation.
Deciding whether to warn someone about a predicted future comes down to a clear assessment of outcomes. We must evaluate carefully if disclosing the information minimizes overall long-term harm and maximizes net well-being for everyone involved in that situation. When should you choose to stay silent? If issuing a warning directly causes the predicted negative outcome by creating panic or leading people into miscalculated actions that result in disaster. In those cases, remaining silent prevents self-fulfilling harm and yields the highest net peace possible for all parties concerned without unnecessary interference. However, there are moments when you must speak up immediately if the warning provides actionable data that allows an individual to alter their course effectively. If speaking helps mitigate damage or avoid a far greater tragedy, then it is simply the responsible choice needed to preserve long-term well-being for everyone affected by this event. Ultimately, words should only be used when they actively diminish aggregate suffering, rather than serving as the catalyst that creates it in the first place.
It's a dilemma of influence versus silence. If you warn them, you risk creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your words may push them toward the very outcome you foresaw. But if you stay silent, you deny them the chance to act with awareness. The tension lies between free will and determinism. Is the future fixed, or does your warning reshape it? A balanced path might be to frame the vision as a possibility rather than inevitability. This gives them agency without locking them into fate.
Yes, I warn them, but only with a filter. I tell them the category of what is coming: danger, loss, or opportunity, but never the specific event. Then I give them one actionable instruction: do the opposite of what your fear tells you to do. Why? Because if my words create the future, it is almost always through fear-driven overreaction. By naming the fear and telling them to resist it, I short-circuit the self-fulfilling loop. They change their behavior, but toward caution or action, not toward the prophecy itself. If they still walk into it, at least they walked in with their eyes open, and I know my gift is a curse I should never use again.
I would still warn them, but in a way that leaves room for choice. If the prediction is serious, silence feels irresponsible. But if you state it too strongly, you may push them into the very path you're trying to avoid. So the safest answer is tell the truth, soften the certainty, and focus on actions they can take to change the outcome. In other words, don't treat the future like a fixed verdict. Treat it like a risk that can be reduced.